welcome to another episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast. Actually, this is episode 82. We're really inching closer and closer to that 100th episode. But anyway, I've got the usual suspects with me today. Josh from North Country Woodworking, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC, and myself, Nick from MPG Creations. And a very special guest has graced us with his presence, his micro presence. Mogan Hop, the spokesperson, model, and commercial guy from Micro-Jig. Say hey, Morgan.
Oh, spokesperson and model. I'm more than that. But I'll take it for now. I'll take it for right this second.
All right. Well, it's great to have you on the show. Before we get into anything important, let's, this is important, actually. This is probably the most important part of the show. Let's talk about our sponsors real quick. So if you didn't know, Sawdust Nation Podcast is sponsored by PWN CNC. Daniel at PWN CNC does an outstanding job of creating and innovating new and different ways to operate your CNC machine. Different things to hook up to dust collection, different things to like new spindle mount kits or spindle kits for your CNC. Check them out at pwncnc.com. If you want 5% off your entire order over there, you can go ahead and use promo code Sawdust Nation 981. That's Sawdust Nation 981. I got to say it twice because it's not like the old one. Anyway, and last but not least, let's thank Totalboat for their continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, we all just got some Totalboat in the mail today, and I don't know if you've been on Instagram at all, but you should check out the reels that we have put up with our Totalboat packages. So go on our Instagram and look at our packages. Totalboat has the best epoxies. They have the great varnishes. They've got excellent wood filler, and now they've got this new wood honey, I think it's called. We've yet to try it out, but we're going to work on it. And Nap's showing it in the picture. So we will get you a review on that very soon. If you want 10% off your Totalboat order, you got to slide into the Sawdust Nation Podcast DMs, and we will get that for you. Or you can shoot us an email, sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. But now that's out of the way, let's go ahead and see what's going on in the shops. And since Morgan is our guest, we're going to say, what's going on in your shop, Morgan? It looks like you got a Micro-Jig gripper every 3 feet from you all over that shop.
I'll start by saying, what the heck, guys? I didn't get any Totalboat this week. Sorry. You guys all got Totalboat. Why didn't I get any Totalboat?
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, go ahead. We'll go ahead and message Totalboat right now. Sorry.
I digress.
Angry email. Strongly worded email coming out.
Oh, they're going to hear about this on Yelp. I'll tell you what. So all the grippers behind me, when we order grippers from our manufacturer, we have them send us a portion of the production run to do quality assurance. So we'll have them, we don't say like just, hey, run, a dozen or so and send them to us. We say, all right, do a full production run, and out of those, at random, pick out 100 and send them to us, and so that we can inspect them for quality. And so there's like, we'll make notes and make observations about each one, like, hey, we can improve this, we can improve that. But for the most part, they're good. They're quality. But that's the reason that we've got all these grippers back here, is because we are checking them for quality.
That would be an odd pitch. Be like, Micro-Jig, for the most part, we're quality. No, I'm just playing. I'm totally playing.
Like 98%, you're good to go. No, it's that, just important to the quality assurance process. But what's going on in my got a lot going on in my shop.
You're in the Micro-Jig shop now, right?
Yes, I'm in the Micro-Jig shop. My home shop is a 10 foot by 12 foot PVC shed, so not really conducive to doing anything. If it's cold or if it's hot, or if I just don't like being out there. But I'm in the Micro-Jig shop tonight, and what I've been working on this week is a Bluetooth speaker. We're doing some promotions with Rockler coming up, and they have this cool little Bluetooth speaker kit. And with the kit, they have like a set of plans and the instructions on how to build it, but made one a while back on my own. I like it better. So I'm recreating that and making a whole set of plans and instructional videos to show people how to build the one that I'm doing.
So what are you building it out of? Like an old gripper or what?
Hang on.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who can't see, he just ran back and grabbed a box.
There we go. Hope that didn't delay it too much. But yeah, it's just walnut. There's not a whole lot of material to it. It's really, I mean, it's small. It doesn't take much material to make. It's the speakers are like $25, and yeah, it's a fun little build.
Solid box joints you got there, bud.
Oh yeah.
Now that kind of goes back to your roots a little bit too. How you started woodworking. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah. So the whole thing that got me into woodworking was building speaker cabinets for my guitar, and then people just started emailing me and messaging me and wanting to buy them from me. So that's kind of how I started my woodworking business. Then I found out that there's not a whole lot of people that want to buy really nice hardwood bespoke speaker cabinets. So then I started building, furniture and stuff. Once you learn the principles of woodworking, you can pretty much go from there.
Yeah.
So I gotta. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, guys. I'm about to ask a question as soon as you're
hit me, Nick.
So all right. So I gotta ask. Mogan Hop, I have yet to spend a day without seeing you, either on Amazon or YouTube or Instagram. You're blowing up, man. You're famous now. These Micro-Jig commercials are legit. What's going on, man? You just been shooting every day or shooting new commercials every day, or what's going on with that?
No, I mean it's weird since the whole world kind of went into quarantine and started working from home. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing, excuse me, a lot of stuff that you're seeing is stuff that I shot, 2 years ago. And I've just kind of been chopping up and recutting it and kind of repackaging the existing footage and stuff that I have and putting those into ads. Actually, the first couple months of quarantine, because my job is content creation here at Micro-Jig. Well, part of my job is content creation, and I didn't have a shop at home. And with the office shut down, my solution for creating content was to actually build out my stupid little 10 by 12 shed at my house. And I did that for a couple months. And that was what, kept the kind of the steady stream of content flowing.
Did Micro-Jig buy all that stuff for your shed? They furnish your shed with woodworking tools?
No, I wish. But if Micro-Jig had bought it, then somehow Micro-Jig would own the things that are in my shed at my house. So that was I bought the tools and I bought all the materials. And I did. I
didn't know. I was just wondering if that was since it's a business expense and you're working from home. You know how your job gives you a laptop to take home or something.
Well, sure.
You're teleworking with a table saw.
Well, I kind of took that into account, and I was like, they probably would pay for it, but you get into a weird who owns it type situation.
They're we have that table saw back. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I lent that to my neighbor, but it was something that. It was a fun project, and I did want to have a setup at my house, so I figured I just pay for it all myself. And fortunately, because I was creating content while I was doing it, it counted as work. So I did that during the workday, and it was a cool thing that I got to keep for my house, and I paid for the material and tools, but that's what kept us sustained for a couple of months.
That workbench combo that you did, that entire setup, there's a lot of interesting things that you included within that bench. How long did you sit down, make plans for that, or was it something that you kind of developed as you went along?
I made a general plan. So I 3D modeled out. I said, okay, I want to have in this thing, here's the essential tools that I have. I've got limited space. I need a table saw. I need a router. I need a joiner, I need a planer, and I want some storage, and that was pretty much it. So I modeled out this thing that gave me a good idea of the dimensions, the bill of materials. You know, as you're in the middle of a project, as you're going through it, obviously stuff changes. You just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So I had a general guide, and then I kind of went off script. But it's pretty similar to the initial plan that I made up.
Nice.
I gotta bring it up before we move on, but I definitely watched you run a board through a table saw with a blindfold on. So safety.
Do you have a death wish?
All right. I'll say this. I will address this here. You heard it here first on Sawdust Nation.
All right.
So that actually movie magic.
Okay. Right. I got you. Okay. So yes, I got it now.
All right. So when you look at infomercials, you know, commercials that are designed to compel people to, you know, get people over that line to be like, oh, wow, cool. I do need this thing. They often feature just absurd, ridiculous demonstrations. So like Tempur-Pedic, nobody is telling people that they should put a glass of wine on their bed and jump up and down with a glass of red wine on their bed. What is it? Flex Seal, the guy that, you know, cut a hole in his boat and sealed it up with Flex Seal. No one's saying that you should actually do that, but those kind of hyperbolic demonstrations are what really demonstrates, you know, how effective the tool or the product is. And that was kind of my way of doing that. But obviously, I'm also concerned about my safety, so I didn't actually make a cut blindfolded. So what I did, one, I could see through the blindfold 100%. I could see what I was doing the entire time.
I feel lied to.
Wow.
Well, we've actually gotten a lot of flack for that. People are like, you know, you know, you make safety products. I'm like, guys, it's one of those wacky demonstrations. Like, it's not real. So one, I could 100% see through the blindfold. Two, I turned the blade around backwards, and I pre-cut the board. And then I reversed the dust collector. So where the exhaust usually is, I actually had that pushing out. So the dust that you see coming up through the saw, that's actually the exhaust from the dust collector.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all trickery. It's all movie magic.
But sorcery.
Sorcery, exactly.
That's right. He's the wood sorcerer.
So, you know, and I did have somebody come into the shop, and I just asked them to be present while I was doing that, because even though I had taken every precaution, it was a weird thing to do. It's not something that you normally do on a table saw. So I was just like, hey, just stay here. And also it was on a Sawstop. So
even if you tried to hurt yourself, you probably couldn't.
Well, no, I mean, blade contact, no. But the Sawstop does nothing to prevent kickback. Nothing.
Not a thing.
So, nothing. Does nothing to prevent kickback. So, you are not 100% bulletproof on a Sawstop.
I watched I watched my 3 horsepower saw kick a small piece of wood into my garage door. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're not safe.
Look, the last thing we wanted to do was invite you on the podcast and then ambush you and have you answer the mail for safety.
I'm like, okay, let me explain myself.
So anyway, that wasn't the purpose of us having you come on here, man. But sounds exciting. Sounds like you've got a lot going on. It's good to see you back in the shop.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me back. Now, I noticed that you also have a pretty majestic mustache that you didn't have the last time I was on.
Yeah, I've been doing a little growing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No Shade November started, and it just kept going. For me, in my heart, it's still November.
I had a gnarly mustache during before November, and I shaved it during November because everybody else was growing it. I said, there can only be one me. So
So, man, the last time we talked, the last time you were on the podcast, you were talking about how one of your passions were doing jigs to improve things within the shop. And I was curious, have you come up with any other great jigs for the shop that's helping make life easier?
Yeah. Let me see. I don't actually have any of them here.
That's all good.
I can, but I have actually shot some video for it, and I can send that to you when we're done here. But I call it the flying saucer, and it is a super super easy to make single part jig. I mean, it's literally one solid piece that you just cut in a certain way, and it gives you hold down and inline pressure. It's sort of it's a cam clamp, but it's circular and the sides are ramped at 30 degrees. So when you turn it, obviously the pivot point is off center. So like if you have a piece here, you've got stops over here, you turn it and it actually pushes your piece into the stop, and the ramp holds it down, pushes it down, because it's in a cam action type of configuration. It's really it's hard to kind of describe, but when I show it to you, it'll make sense.
Fair enough.
As long as you can do it blindfolded, we're good to go.
So with all these jigs you make, which one? No, I wasn't here last time, so and if you answered this question, I'm sorry, but what is your favorite jig? I mean, you create all these things. What is your to date favorite jig?
Ooh, gosh, that's hard hitting journalism right there. I think I have a pretty unique. Well, it's not all that unique, but it's super super easy box joint jig.
Okay.
Is it the Incra? No, I'm totally playing.
You insulted him when you said that.
No, dude, I love Incra. Incra makes amazing stuff. I have nothing bad to say about any Incra product.
But you're the jig master. Like, you like making jigs. It would make no sense for you to buy a jig pre-made when you enjoy it so much.
Actually, if he's trying to reverse engineer something,
yeah, okay, I can
would
see
make
that.
sense to.
Well, one of the Incra products that I really really like, and I used on my that cart that I made for my shed, is a just an indexed fence. It's got its own index measuring system, and I think they stopped making it for a long time, and I think they recently started making it again. But it's got that that signature indexed Incra scale attached to it. And
you're talking about the entire fence and rail system for the table saw?
Not for the table saw. So it's basically a standalone thing. And what I did on my cart was I installed my router on the other side of my table saw, and so I used the miter slot on the table saw to actually secure the fence for the router. And so the Incra router, or the Incra fence, has slots in it, and I just attach it to the miter slots on the table saw. It's it's a really cool system. But anyway, I got off in the weeds there.
But I digress.
I digest.
I digest. Well,
I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah, so we were talking about jigs. What's your favorite jig? Hey, Nap, what's your favorite jig? Okay, Josh, what's your favorite jig?
Well, Micro-Jig, of course.
No, I mean, like, that's obviously
No, it's a jig of sorts, but crosscut sled is the most universal thing in my shop. I haven't built one since I got my new table saw, and I've missed it. I've been using my miter gauge a lot as a replacement, but it can't really actually replace a crosscut sled. So that would be the next jig that I'm going to be building in my shop. And I know that Micro-Jig does, and you have built a nice crosscut sled with adjustable slots for blade curve, and it incorporates the dovetail system as well. The last one I had in my shop did have the dovetail system in there, so I could use the clamps and some of the jigs that you guys do provide, because it's just that versatile. So I'm in the process of kind of thinking what I want, because I'm have this table saw for quite a while and I want to make it something that's really universal. So it might be like the Frankenstein version of what you guys have offered as your plans on your website, and kind of something that I make up on my side too.
And that's kind of the beauty of the system, is that like you can make. I've seen so many different variations of the sled that I designed, and I love seeing it because everybody builds them for their for their specific needs, which is that's what we want to see. Don't build it exactly the way I did it. Build it for how you need it. And so, yeah, that's I actually take it back. The box joint jig is actually just one attachment that I have for the crosscut sled that I made.
Nap, did we give you enough time to think?
I have two, actually. So one made by Micro-Jig, and it's just the well, not really a jig, it's a push block. That's like my favorite thing from you guys, because honestly, it's got maximum gripping strength. It's got those little tabs on the back. So when I'm running it through the joiner, like a 4-inch board through the joiner, that, like, to me, it's going to save my fingers becoming gazpacho. Okay. Like, if I won't slip and I lose my fingers. But actual jig wise, I like the Incra box jig. And that's just because, box joints seem to be like my go-to joint at the moment. Now, eventually I want to, venture into dovetails and those things. But yeah, I think Incra iBox jig is my favorite jig at the moment.
So the grip block, the grip block, that's my go-to for every tool except for the table saw. So router table, bandsaw, joiner, those drop down heels, you can't beat that.
It's like you were thinking about, like, what is the one thing I hate doing when running stuff through machinery?
Losing my hand.
Oh, that's following my fingers right behind me.
The one serious injury that I've gotten doing woodworking, and it was way before I worked for Micro-Jig, was on the joiner. I was just running something across, and obviously the wood had pushed the blade guard back, and my hand just slipped and came down right onto the cutter head. Actually, you know what? I think I sent, after the last episode that I was on, I think I sent a picture to Nick of what had happened.
I must see this picture because I don't have a weak stomach,
I already
so
saw
I
it.
can see this.
Tim, I'll text it to you.
It's gruesome. And so, like, the joiner could be such a safe tool to use. I mean, it's not, you don't have danger of kickback. As long as you just keep your hands away from the cutter head, it seems simple. But I wasn't using any sort of pusher or safety equipment, and just right in.
So the reason why I got y'all's table saw push block was because of an idiot mistake I made. And I don't know why, I just got a little complacent with the table saw. Now, before I had the Sawstop, I had the Epic DeWalt job site saw, and that thing was a beast for a while. And then I eventually realized it is loud for no reason, and I could get a better table saw. But what ended up happening was I was cutting down a bunch of what do they call offcuts, because I was like, I need to make these into workable pieces of wood so I can use them for something. Well, I don't know why I did this, but in my infinite wisdom, as I'm pushing the little piece that's going off, I went and reached for it, and it was like an 1/8-inch strip. Good thing I was wearing gloves, because it literally took the glove, but then also took a whole tip of my thumb. Now, it didn't take it off, so it literally just split my thumb open, and I was like, and then I walked away, and then got a Band-Aid. But yeah, so that's why I'm getting a push block, because now it follows that strip. That strip doesn't do the whole let me smack the blade. Instead, it follows with it, and I'm good to go.
We get. I mean, I'm kind of in a unique position to where people will reach out to us all the time and say, like, "Hey, I had this accident, and now I'm getting. I wish I had gotten it, beforehand. But now I'm getting it." Yeah. So we hear those stories all the time. A couple of months ago, well, gosh, I've lost track of time. It's probably a lot more than a couple of months ago. It might have been a year and a half ago. But anyway, we saw stories, somebody posted a video on YouTube of them having a table saw accident. And the frustrating thing is they had a gripper literally sitting on their table saw. And they were pushing it through. Thing is sitting right there, and they did the exact same thing. They got to the end of the cut, and then they reached for it. He was actually looking at the gripper like I'm gonna grab that, but just started reaching for it with his other hand and just brought it down right onto the blade. I don't want to say idiot because
Yeah, you can't say idiot.
everyone has those lapses in clarity. Everyone has those lapses in judgment. Everybody's just stops paying attention for just a second. That's all it takes.
In my mind, I just see and I don't mean idiot in a disrespectful way. I think the Napoleon Dynamite thing was idiot, God. When you make the mistake and you're just in your mind, you I know I've called myself an idiot a couple times in the shop. I'm why did you do that, dummy? You knew that you shouldn't put your finger there, yet you did, and now look at you.
Just remember, if you're reaching towards the blade of a table saw, it's going to be just the tip, just for a second, and it's going to feel terrible.
I feel like that needs to be immortalized on some monument, maybe
just
even
the tip. There we go.
Put in some walnut, call it a day.
Hey, so speaking of just the tip, let's talk about what's going on in Josh's shop.
Oh man, talking about just the tip. What? The iceberg. Anyway, moving into the shop. Let's see. I got the shuttle box out. I posted a little bit about that. Was able to deliver it just before the ceremony, and the look on the client's face was just the tip of the iceberg itself.
I want to hear about the sword.
We will get to the sword, okay?
Okay. Josh has a sword in his shop.
How much did you learn on that shadow box build?
I learned a lot. So obviously, like most of us, when we are about to build something that's a little different, we do some research, we build it in our minds, we write it on paper. And everything that I built in my mind, I wrote on paper, it changed as I went. A lot of it was why am I doing it this way? And it could be much easier if I did it this way. So it was my first build of one of these. And like I said, I learned a lot, what to do, what not to do. You name it. It was a great experience, and it allowed me to go right into the next one. Fortunately, the next one I'm doing is just a box type with 2 flags and just, some coins and some of the normal stuff. So it's a little bit easier. There's a lot of dados involved and rabbits, and a little technique moved on from the first one, but it's different. And in a good way, because now I'll be able to do 2 different types and have those under my belt. So moving on, I also got done with a gift for that same client's parents for her retirement. And that was a simple carve paragraph of words and then a picture frame. I took the picture frame and actually took my dado stack and removed the top section just enough so they could fit in all the materials behind the frame so that they can slide the picture in and out with the glass and everything else. That way, if at her retirement ceremony, they take a really good picture with her family, they could slide that right in versus a picture maybe that she got during her career. They're really up to them. That way they weren't really stuck on one picture. Because our previous discussions was I was going to actually engrave a picture for them and apply it to that board. And with some difficulty, I couldn't get the exact look I wanted. So I met them halfway and I came up with that particular concept. Moving on to the command chief's, I think his was a retirement gift from the squadron. Received it today, I believe. I haven't heard his reaction yet or the pictures, but I know when I gave it to the secretary, she was absolutely in love with it, and they've already started talking to me about a standard gift for people leaving the squadron. And I've been working on the design of that. That's going to kind of look like a football helmet. That's going to be having the first layer probably be like a maple or the cherry, and then the bottom is going to be like walnut. And it'll be a place for a coin, the patch, and then a little plaque somewhere on there. I'm hoping that they'll love that design because it'd be nice to make, a couple of those a month and just, I'll throw it on Etsy, they order it, and then out the door.
Is that something that you could batch out, or is there
absolutely
any kind of personalization? It's just spend a week just building, as many of those as you could, and then just order them at their leisure.
The great thing about it is exactly that. As long as they keep pretty much everything the same, even if they added a couple more coins, the first layer is going to be like a 1/4 inch thick. And I just have to take out the material for the coin so I can lay it flush with the top. And then the backer is going to remain the same shape. So yes, I could batch a whole bunch out, almost like I do with the 2-foot hammers that I do.
I have a 2-foot hammer.
Not yet.
Got him.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm coming along with being able to batch things out and have a standard gift with a couple of squadrons and units on base, which is kind of making it nice because they can reach out to me and I could just be like, okay, you need another one, details, here you are. And another instance of that is I do a laser engraved stripe for like a going away gift, PCA gift. And just around the 8th of January, I did another one, same day order, gave it to them, and they're like, we're going to order more from you. So it's very simple. It's a project that I could do within a day. And, you know, it allows me to get my name out there, get in place with these squadrons, and put it on my Etsy. Then I got to nod off to Nick here. I have a deal going with the Ravens here on base. I'll be making or trying to make, I haven't got the deal in stone yet, but I got the first draft out to them. And essentially what it's going to be, it's a plaque that's able to hold 500 names. And they're going to put all the Ravens throughout time on these plaques. So altogether, I think I'm going to make 8 of these plaques. They're going to be about 40 by 40 inches. And including a little bit of their patch in there as well. It's going to be one of those projects I probably shut down the shop for a month or so just to get that knocked out for them. I'm really excited about that as well because my stuff will be a legacy, essentially. Yeah, that's pretty big for me. So a lot of big stuff happening in the shop. You know, I've been knocking stuff out. I spent a lot of time in there lately, but I'm going to get to the sword detail, if you will.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I know. Everyone wants to hear about the sword. So I got some shoes from Indestructible Shoes. They wrote me, said, hey, we'll send you some shoes. We want you to test them out. Let us know. Do a post. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like anything, I'm going to see how it is. I'm going to test it out. And then I'll tell you exactly what I feel. But I was like, since your name is Indestructible Shoes, I'm going to try to destroy them after a week. I'm going to put them through the paces of everyday life, and then I'm going to test them out with some not everyday life. So I did a live, Crafted an NJ joined me about a quarter of the way in, and he asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I tried to answer them. And then I continued to destroy these shoes. I first took a chisel to the toe, which is steel toe. We even took a magnet to it to verify. I took it out, saw the metal myself. I took a knife to it, tried to cut the fabric. The fabric did cut after a couple cuts. I did take a nail and hammer it through the bottom to see how it would hold up to that. And then I took a nail through a board and I tried to push down on the shoe to see if it would penetrate the Kevlar sole, and it would not penetrate. I was putting all my weight on it and it wouldn't go through, unlike when I hammered the nail directly into it. I took my torch to it, burnt it up a little bit. I took it to the bandsaw, cut the shoe in half.
It was a torture test.
Yeah. One of the last requests was from the Sawdust Nation podcast page, which we could only assume the way he was commenting had to be Nick. And he's like, get a broadsword, try to cut it in half. So I went upstairs, got my broadsword, and came down, and we tortured it a little bit with that. So there's the sword bit for you. And that's pretty much what's going on in my shop. A little sword play and a little shadow box.
So why do you have that sword to begin with? Just
when I was in Okinawa, as an airman, there was like a heritage booth outside the BX, the Basic Exchange. And there they would look up your last name, do the research, and they kind of find the history of your name. And then you have the option to get the certificate or a shield. Well, me being an airman that's single and overseas, I purchased the shield. And, you know, as I went along, I found that particular sword and I added it to the back of it to make it look like a wall piece. It's been something that I've kind of carried around with me since the start of my career. And it just so happened I never had to really pull it out of the sheath until one day I'm on Instagram and someone requests me to take the sword out. So that's the story behind the sword.
If I was that guy working that booth, I would straight up just like guess. Like, oh yeah, we did the research. We totally did the research. It's a
legit
Danish
company. It was one of those things where, you know, other people I knew have done it. And they do some research. Now, I mean, do they find the right variation? Do they find, you know, the right bloodline? Who knows? But, you know, it was cool. I had the cash. Why not? and it looks good in the house behind the door because my wife don't like it. But
so Morgan walks up there and they're like, Hopfensperger,
Good Irish
Lederhosen.
name.
Here you go. What's up?
Good Irish name.
He's a good Irish man.
Yeah.
He's the what is it? His family has the patron saint of the Irish jig.
the Irish jig.
So, Josh, when were you in Okinawa?
I was there from 2008 to 2010.
All right, so you would have been there. Actually, you would have been there at the same time as my brother.
Nice. Where did
my brother? He was Marines, right?
Air Force.
Air Force.
So he would have been a Foster. I would have been driving past him because I was allowed to have a car, and then the Marines didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was there. Actually, he was there around that same time, and he was born with this strange, like a genetic I don't want to call it a disorder because it's not like a debilitating thing, but the left side of his body gets more oxygen than the right side of his body, so his left arm is like 20% larger than his right arm.
No kidding.
And so, in Okinawa, there's all the military guys from, all the different branches, they would get together and, party or whatever and get together and drink. And so my brother was like famous for arm wrestling there. They called him Lefty because his left arm, he didn't look like huge, but, sure, I'll arm wrestle this guy. And then he pulls out his left arm and they're like, holy crap. And he actually broke a dude's arm, and he got in trouble for breaking a dude's arm wrestling him, because his left arm is just that beastly.
He said, "Here's my arm."
That's crazy. Yeah. I don't have any like genetic issue, but for some reason my right arm is way bigger than my left arm. I think it might have to do with.
We are not touching that. Moving on.
You know what's weird is that both of my arms are way bigger than you guys's. So,
Hey.
No, just kidding. They're probably not. Don't challenge me.
Oh, no,
wait, hold on.
Okay.
I put these lights in over here.
He's like, wait a minute. Ever since I got the internet, my right arm's bigger than my left.
From clicking so much, right?
Anyways. They're vascular. They're very vascular. You see the veins.
Anywho, let's move on. Nap, what do you have going on your shop?
Nothing. And moving on. No, so
nothing.
No, I got a lot going on, man. I mean, so I typically don't start projects right away if it's like, hey, get these done when you can. But then when they pay the invoice, you're like, then you have to start it, right? So I told him, I was like, hey, just kind of be aware. I've got projects going on. So if you pay me, you might not get started right away. Well, sure enough, as I'm finishing the hat boards that I've made, I have 4 hat stands to make, and I didn't expect them to pay for all of them at once. One side paid for their 2, the other side paid for their 2. And I was like, mother of God. So now I've got to make 4 hat stands. 2 of them are due by the 31st of January. So I have 2 with a definite due date. And then the other 2 are just kind of whenever. But the 2 that are whenever, one of them's easy. The other one's hard because it's got photo transfer involved. So I'm going to take photos and transfer them to the wood rings of this hat stand. I'm very skeptical on how that's going to come out. So I'm probably going to test it first and figure out what the process is going to be. Because after I transfer it, I'm going to want to put a protective coat over it so it doesn't, wear away.
So have you done that before?
Okay, so I did photo transfer when I was in high school on a ceramic piece when I used to do ceramics. But that's about as far as I've gone. So I know I use Mod Podge and all that stuff. So I just, I'll have to review some things on the old YouTube University and make sure that I know what I'm doing.
Speaking of one of our sponsors, Totalboat, photo transferring onto epoxy is fairly easy to do. So it might be, behoove you to maybe lay down some epoxy and do it on there. There's quite a few YouTube videos about it, and you really only need is a good colored printer or, black and white, depending what, you're doing. And then, not transfer paper, but it's, that clear paper used on projectors.
Yeah. Transparency paper.
I actually bought some because I planned on trying to do it on some charcuterie boards that I haven't got to yet. But it's definitely I've seen those YouTube videos, the color comes out a lot crisper than I've seen in other methods. So it might be a way you can check out that on YouTube, and you might like it. It might be easier.
I've been trying to figure out how the heck this was even going to work out, and if this, I mean, I've got plenty of epoxy over here in my background. I've got all that just sitting there waiting to be used. From the old Totalboat sent us those awesome care packages. So I'll give it a roll. See what happens.
Just rubbing it in.
Sorry, Morgan. Sorry.
Just rubbing it in.
I'll give you a sticker.
Sorry, Morgan.
Let's see what else. So we got those going on. I'll probably start those tomorrow, honestly. What's up, Morgan?
What do you got?
I was going to say real quick before you move on. I've used this thing called you can get them both for inkjet and laserjet printers, but it's called water slide paper, and it's similar to what a temporary tattoo type paper would look like. It's just an incredibly thin film, and with a back that just comes right off. So I've used that to transfer just stuff that's printed onto all kinds of stuff. So look up, if you have a laserjet printer or water or inkjet printer, look up whatever printer, water slide paper, and it's pretty easy to use.
It sounds like I got some stuff to try out, some mad scientist type stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I love testing things out in the shop, especially when I kind of have the time, which at this moment I do have quite a bit of time, it seems, on my hands. So thank you for that. I wrote that down, water slide paper. See, these things, I wouldn't even know about this stuff. I would have looked up on the internet, like, how to transfer photos. It would have given me, like, the Mod Podge method and all this stuff. I probably wouldn't have came across Totalboat.
They submit.
Sign up for Dropbox. That's how you transfer photos.
Yeah, right?
There you
go. But, yeah, so I'm kicking this other hat board out the door. I'll start those hat stands probably tomorrow. The easy ones I'll get done fairly quickly because they're just, cut some parts, put it together, finish it. It's really all it is. The two that are difficult are one is for MTI or Military Training Instructor of the Year, and the other one is just a really nice going away gift for somebody. So those are the two that are easier, but the other ones they ask for specific things to be done. Let's see what else. I got those awards coming up. A lot of Totalboat will be used for those awards. I'm fairly excited to get into that. I asked them, hey, when are you going to pay me? Because I'm not going to start this until you pay me. I did buy a bunch of cherry. Because I use cherry, so there's really no skin off my back, but I'm not going to glue any boards, do any carving, anything until I see money in my account, put that in my hand and we'll proceed on with the job. But let's see, we got those are in February. I think that's really it as far as jobs are concerned, except for of course, the free hat press I'm doing because I voucher for Christmas a while back, individual got with me. It's already almost done. They made my job super easy on that one. They said, hey, this is what I want. Can you make it? Yes. And that's literally how that went.
Gotta love that.
He gave me like this awesome little sketch, and it was okay. He tried his very hardest to draw a Carolina Panther. It was close-ish. But I went ahead and just re-solidified technique for preventing acrylic paints from bleeding into oak because, how much we love oak and paint bleeding, but
it bleeds bad.
So I revisited the lacquer method that I used a while back. I spray 3 coats.
Did it work?
Spray 3 coats of lacquer, let it dry, obviously between the coats, and then I take the acrylic paint pen, paint the heck out of it, and I take my Mirka sander and just bzz, and it's gone, and then we're good to go.
Yes.
That's what the sound of Mirka makes. Everybody. So just.
Let's see now. Other than that, I have been doing a lot of more stuff in the social media realm, so I'm trying to up my game, if you will. We've been doing a lot of lives with the Sawdust Nation podcast, but I got to do a live with Graham over at Graham Wood Designs. I ended up joining their live because they're talking about lasers. There's been a lot of laser help lately. I had Jessie over at Building Jessie contacted Nick about laser help. And I had a nice phone call Instagram call at about 12:30 in the morning on a Friday.
I was at my neighbor's house, dude, and I was drinking beer with my neighbors, and I get this message saying I'm working on my rotary. Can you help or whatever? I was like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. So I start giving her information, and apparently it was just messing everything up. So I was like, I'm gonna call Nap. It's 12:30 Friday night. Nap's 3 sheets to the wind. Got it on his. He's like what 4 or 5 of those.
Bourbons in. I was drinking
whiskey,
bourbon. I was just
bourbons.
like, yeah, all right, what's up? And then like as soon as I like looked at the lab, I was like, oh, we got company. Okay, time to get it together here. But we ended up getting her up and running, and so I ended up joining their live, where a few folks wanted to give the Air Force guy crap, but it's all good because I still gave him information. But we had Sarge's Wood Designs and Sgt Soto _ projects. Those are 2 of the other individuals in the live. 2 of them ended up leaving, and I ended up sticking around with Graham and Jessie. We talked about the ramp test. We talked about cutting leather, and just a few other processes and whatnot. It was kind of cool to get to jump in the live. And so far, my follower count is rising. I'm actually seeing an improvement because of one way to get
that.
Yeah, imagine that. It's still slow. Okay, I'll have like the fireworks and stuff when I finally eventually hit 500. But that probably won't ever happen. It'll never happen.
It will. Time.
It'll
Patience.
happen. It'll happen. No, hold on. I'm gonna go like your page right now, Nap. Don't worry,
Dude.
Oh, we have to follow him?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, I did some sticker swaps. I did like a whole 6 of them. I got Snyder Custom Woodwork. He sent me his sticker. And then I talked about the Polkadot Welder, sent her sticker. And then a couple other ones I sent out because I noticed when we were at Ducky's, Ducky Mesquite, he didn't have a Nap Snyder Works sticker. So I sent one to him.
Did he have Sawdust Nation?
He did, along with the big flag that's up against his wall right by his CNC. And then I sent one to Noel. I keep saying Noel. Okay, at Kumo's, was it workshop, right? Workshop or wood shop? It's kind of like
workshop.
the Pam situation.
I think I could solve the whole Pam dilemma. It's Kumo's workshop.
Thank you. But other than that, that's what I got going on, guys. Just a lot of this, a lot of that, having fun doing it. It's really what matters, right? Nick, what you got going on?
Real quick before I start, shout out to Mogan Hop over there with the Shel Silverstein post. Gotta love that.
I just commented on that one.
Yeah.
So, am I crazy? Like, no author puts a picture of themselves that big on their book. It's always like a tiny little thumbnail, and they're like, it's a pleasant photo. You know, it's not
straight up the Giving Tree or the
it is the Giving Tree. That's literally like one of my favorite books as a kid was the Giving Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I still love the book, but I just avoid the back cover.
Flip it over.
I just avoid the back cover.
Don't flip it over. I actually framed the book backwards, so now he looks at me every time I walk in.
Oh, Shel.
A lot of stuff going on in the NPG Creations workshop. I won't bore you guys with all my boredom specifics, but I'm getting an order for 150 coasters. It's in the wickets right now. As soon as they pay me, I'm going to start cutting 4x4 squares and laser.
You have
etching,
fun with that, my friend. You have so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm stoked, dude.
Is this for a wedding?
It's an easy job. No, this is for a annual award ceremony or something.
It's for a funeral.
okay.
So
Actually,
for a funeral, yeah. I've just got funny phrases like another one bites the dust and all that other stuff on. I'm gonna put on. No. So the saga of my wife refinishing the dressers continues. Let me tell you, I don't know if you're unaware, she went to the Goodwill and bought 2 crappy dressers. One of them is MDF with a veneer. And I was like, she's like, I'm going to refinish it. I'm like, there's no way that you're going to take a sander to that and not go through the veneer, you know? And the other one was just, I don't know, they're beat to crap, right? They're beat to hell. So I was like, you do you. You do you. So she's like, I want to paint him in the front yard. Cool. I'm all for it, man. Stay busy, you know, put your mind to work, you know, make something that you want to make. So I go to work or I go somewhere and I come home and the front yard's painted black because she didn't put anything down. So it's like, come on, man. I have all this cardboard that I use to like make boxes and you couldn't put it down. She's like, well, I wasn't thinking about it. Okay, fine. Obviously you weren't thinking about it. My second note, and this is just me just kind of griping a little bit, but the last thing I made her was a kitchen table that was walnut and it had a nice set of steel legs that were black. And she was like, it's just too dark. I don't like dark furniture. And then
She painted it black.
she paints 2 dressers black.
This is
dude.
great. These
2
are
of
great
them.
impressions, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Now, was
You
it
gotta be kidding me.
the veneer? Is it actual wood veneer, or is it that like
No,
printed
it's plastic
stuff?
crap.
Okay, so there's no sanding that. That's not happening.
I mean, you could sand it, you could scuff it if you're you gotta be careful, or you're gonna burn right through it. Oh, and then I don't know if I told you guys last week, but she was sanding in the garage, and she had my Merca sander's attached to my Festool, right?
Show off.
I come into the garage like the Festool, it's right behind you there. Mark.
Yeah,
You got the
I mean, you
Festool,
can't.
That's not
I
mine.
can't really tell.
That belongs to work. I don't have one of
Yeah,
those.
so
I'm not a millionaire.
you know how you plug the sander into the actual vacuum?
Mm-hmm.
So she's sanding in the garage, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was cool. I come in later, and there's like a film of dust over everything. I'm like, did you hook the vacuum up to the sander? She's like, well, it was plugged in. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, was the hose hooked up? She's like, oh, no, I don't know where the hose was. I'm like, attached to the vacuum? You got to plug it into the sander so it sucks up all the dust? Anyway, long story short, I'm hammering on this tonight. I'm sorry. She leaves the spray paint can out,
Yes.
and my little son, 4-year-old son, finds it and Picasso's the side of my brick freaking wall. So now I'm dousing this wall hourly in paint thinner so I can get a pressure washer in there. I have it in the back of my truck right now, but I gotta get a pressure washer on that tomorrow. Hopefully it comes off the masonry block. But it's just been one heck of a week. I bought a sublimation printer, so I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start sublimating different images on plywood, and I'm gonna, or even maybe even hardwood, just to see what kind of effects I can get. Yeah, and to top the cherry on top, this was the cherry on top of this week.
Oh yes,
I shipped a shadow box I made. It was a beautiful shadow box. I shipped it up to Josh's neck of the woods. It was cherry and walnut, shape of the American flag, and I ripped it off of Veteran Woodco. At least the idea. Anyway, so I ship it up there. I had a lot of packaging like materials around it. I'm talking foam, what do you call it? Styrofoam, bubble wrap. I had cardboard around it, and then, or at least over the face, and then I had a box it was in. I think I had did I have the corners packed as well? I can't remember. Yeah, I packed the the perimeter with styrofoam as well. UPS decides to drop kick it for a field freaking goal.
Was it good?
And it gets to the customer, the face ripped off, like totally ripped the glue off. But I did find out that if you put wood glue after you Odies something or after you oil something, it's not as effective as if you just do it bare.
Oh no,
bare on bare.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
in my defense, I did sand it, but it was too deep.
Freaking
It was too
rook.
deep inside.
It repels wood, or it repels glue.
Very well.
It was too deep inside to, like, the oil penetrated deep enough to where even after I sanded it, it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Story of my life.
And yeah, that's right.
Sounds like a deeper conversation.
Josh fixed it for me, gave it to the customer. They accepted it, right? Or is
Yeah.
that tomorrow?
Yeah. They got
Okay,
it.
cool. And then other than that, I hate to just ramble and rant, but actually it's just therapeutic for me. So
yeah, I got something on this UPS noise though. Okay, because you're not the only one dealing with UPS and all this stuff. I've had multiple things broken by them and lost by them. Nick,
mysteriously
just
disappeared.
mysteriously, an envelope containing high value item just disappears off the face of the earth, and never seen it. Haven't seen it since.
You ever have anything disappear from UPS there, Morgan?
Not disappear, but back when I had my furniture business, I'd say probably 2, 3, maybe 4 times. I was intentional. I was vigilant about really protecting the stuff that I shipped out. And I would get an email from the customer, and it looked like it had been bulldozed. I can't imagine. You'd have to try really hard to damage a package the way that these packages were damaged. And, I'm just like, I have no idea how that happened. They're like, well, obviously we can't accept this. I'm like, well, obviously yes. Obviously, yes. So I'll refund your money and try to, file a claim with UPS or FedEx or whoever it was that shipped it.
How'd that go for you? That claim process.
Yeah, did they tell you that you inadequately packed it and said it's your responsibility?
Sure. Yeah, that's their that's the default. Yeah,
that's their MO for stealing your money for paying for insurance.
Never mind, we have a hire the blind driver program that we and they regularly crash into walls and flip trucks over and break stuff. Never mind that you inadequately packed your stuff. So
yeah, and I was like, because it's crazy, right? Like you see all this stuff, and then you got guys like Mike from Veteran Woodco who literally took a video of how he packed this thing. I'm talking, he took a 5-minute video showing how he packed it. He did a nice round Kaizen.
He put Kaizen foam in there.
Kaizen foam's $50 a sheet, especially the thick stuff he used. And then he went and put layers of cardboard, all this stuff. And I'm like, he shows a picture of what happened to it. I'm like, how in the did UPS do that? You legitimately had to take a sledgehammer, let a dog chew on it, something. You had to let this happen. And then they go, you inadequately packaged it. We suck at our job, but it's fine. It's your fault. But anyway, sorry, I went off on a small rant, but
it kind of reminds me of what I don't know what the waste management people are like where you guys live, but where I live, they'll basically take my garbage can and instead of just putting it in the truck and putting it back, I swear they'll hop on the truck holding onto it and then just launch it up in the air as far as they can, and it'll be 30 yards away from my house and smash into bits. That's what UPS does with packages.
Why is my trash can over there? Wait, why is my UPS package over there?
What can Brown do for you? That's all I got to say. Moving on, we do have a question. I don't want to weigh in on too much more of my rant here. So let me pull up the question from Morgan. Oh, this one's from Daniel Langley. Do you know Daniel Langley?
Daniel Langley.
Yeah, he's on Instagram.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so 5:30 Daniel Langley says, message for Morgan for the podcast. Ooh. Can you please tell us some more about your modeling career?
Oh my God. Oh, okay.
You're not gonna live this down, you know that, right?
So have you heard about this?
I have not. I just was like, yeah, I'm just passing the message here, man.
All right. So my roommate in college, he started a Facebook group claiming he called it Mogan Hop Model Fan Page.
Oh, jeez.
It was basically just trying to convince people that I'm a career model, and just would post the most unflattering photos and just the dumbest copy of it, just to just
candid stuff.
Just whatever. I mean, just there's so much on there. It was just a fun thing, we were always just making fun of each other and try to embarrass each other. And so that's what he did. That was in 2007. And the page is still live and people are still seeing it. I was on a podcast last year with Ben Myers from Myers Woodshop and his podcast. And I don't have a personal Facebook account. He was saying, yeah, I was trying to look you up and all I could find was this model page. And what is that all about? I'm like, got me again. It's still there.
The gift that you've been given.
So there's people on Instagram that will ask me about that. They're like, what is this modeling? Like, what are you talking about? It's just, I cannot believe that people are still actually finding this page and seeing it.
I'm looking for it now. I'm trying.
It's so the two guys that created it are two of my very best friends. I still talk to them all the time. I have a running group text with them. I talked to them earlier this week, and I'm just like, you guys, you got to do something. You got to take this down. This is my life we're talking about here.
Wow. I see you.
Yep.
I see it.
Yep.
That's impressive, man. You got the Fonz look going on.
So
I gotta take some time and really download all these photos.
Yeah. So all in good fun. Never been a professional model in any capacity. But you know what? It's not about what I say. It's about what the internet says. If it's on the internet, it's true.
Yeah, I want to see how many members are on this page because I just
there's not many. There's like probably a dozen.
Oh, there's 10.
Yeah,
I'm one of them. We're gonna blow it up, brother. Don't worry, we'll get you squared away.
You know what? Maybe I can actually get some modeling jobs out of this. Thank you.
Never know.
Oh my goodness.
Secretly, that's what he wants. He's just playing it off that he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm just.
I mean,
I'm just being coy. That's all I really want.
He's a wood sorcerer. He's a commercial star, and now he can be a modeling star.
It's actually kind of leading in that direction anyway.
Now I'm serious, man. That mustache does it too. So
a little bit of 70s,
mustache
70s music in the back, like
everything from the 70s is coming back.
you look like you belong on the cover of a paper towel roll right now.
The brawn guy,
the brawny guy.
he's wearing the brawny, the flannel, the red flannel.
No, you're right. I've got the entire look going on right now.
That's right. The ensemble. You're an imposter. Oh my goodness. So what do you guys say we wrap it up and call it a day?
I'm down.
All right. So let's go ahead and double tap on our sponsors one more time. So let's thank PWN CNC for the support. This episode has been brought to you by them. So Daniel over there is working on some amazing things in his workshop. Check him out, pwncnc.com, as well as at pwncnc on Instagram. If you want to get 5% off your order at PWNCNC, use promo code Sawdust Nation 981. And thanks again, Totalboat. You guys are awesome. If you're interested in that epoxy, hit them up at totalboat.com. If you need 10% off your order for Totalboat, shoot us a DM and we'll get you hooked up. And last but not least, thanks again to our patrons. You guys are the lifeblood of the podcast. We love you. Thanks a lot. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it on over to Josh.
It's to me. Is this your first
Snap.
time?
Turn over to Josh. Turn over to Snap.
All right. Yeah. Hey, so check it out. If you are listening to this podcast over on Spotify or even that Apple podcast, because that's where most of you listen from, is that Apple podcast. Go, let's give us 5 stars. And if you don't give us 5 stars, let us know why you did give us 5 stars so we can give you the content that you so deserve. On another note, I'm just going to mention it real quick, guys, just a quick teaser here. So episode 100, as Nick said, is coming up very fast, around May time frame. And we're trying to do something special. And that specialness includes first 100 Patreons and maybe some goodies and some gifts and some things. More details to come, but just know I heard some rumors that Woodcraft might be sponsoring some things in there, putting some things in there to help sweeten the deal, along with many other affiliated companies. So if you become a Patreon between now and that 100th episode, you will be receiving one of those grab bags that we'll be putting together. As far as the contents, well, that's to be determined. And
you know what? I would be happy to contribute. I will offer 100 signed headshots for that 100 episode.
You heard it here first.
You said it on air.
Please. We heard it on the internet. It's got to be true.
It's
100 headshots done.
Booyah!
Oh, there it is. Look at
There
that.
it is, right there.
Fan. I love
To
it.
my biggest fan.
That's awesome.
We're not kidding either.
Nope, it's going to happen. But if you want to go see that picture, because I'm assuming he's going to post that up, you can check him up on his Instagram at Mogan Hop or on Micro-Jig at Micro-Jig on Instagram. They also have a webpage. You can check them out at www.microjig.com. And if you want to get hold of any of us, you can get hold of the Sawdust Nation podcast Instagram page, and you never know who's going to answer, but hey, that's part of the fun. Or you can hit up Nap at Nap's Nutty Works LLC, Nick from MPG Creations, or myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. And if you just want to email us a picture of your current workpiece, what you're doing in the shop, a voicemail for the podcast, a topic idea, or even if you have a guest idea, like Mogan Hop back for his 3rd episode, you can go ahead and write us at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, let's go with final words, starting with Morgan.
Final words. I don't know. The world is weird right now. Everybody, be safe. Wash your hands. Be good to one another. Show some grace. That's it.
And buy Micro-Jig.
I'm not here to plug anything.
Jig.
I'm just here to have fun.
Over this past week, I've definitely seen more of this community over competition thing going on between sharing information and helping folks out. That's what it's about. This community doesn't thrive unless we all keep helping each other out. Fight each other over that simple dollar because the network is worth more than that simple dollar. So keep helping each other out. Keep taking care of each other. Reach out when people need help. That's what I got, Nick.
Well, I personally want to give a thank you to Mogan Hop for coming on. After last time, I wasn't sure if he was going to be like, those guys suck. I don't know.
No, dude, I'm happy to get you guys are great.
But yeah, that being said, take care, brush your hair, and we'll see you next time.
Josh is like, I hate you.
Oh,
I don't
go ahead,
have hair.
Josh, sorry.
As he's crying in the corner in the fetal position, like, I don't have it.
Fine. I see how it's going to go. Anywho, thank you for tuning in for our 82nd episode with our special guest, Mogan Hop, joining us from Micro-Jig. Thank you for listening to us in your cars, in your workshop, in your living room, while you're cooking breakfast, on the ride to work, at work. Who knows? Turn us in so you can listen to some more shop talk. You get tidbits. You never know what you're going to hear on here or who's going to be one of our guests. And if you can, get in the shop, go make some sawdust, have some fun, be safe. And with that, Sawdust Nation out.
Why did you make that so difficult, Nick?
I don't know.
Every time.
Well, let me tell you guys. On a real note, though,
Oh,
so
here we
I
go.
don't have the left side of my body is not bigger than the right, or vice versa. But I did have to sue Hustler magazine for giving me carpal tunnel.
I like it.
Oh, girl.
I'm sure I would have seen that.